Was Blondie pushing artistic boundaries, or were they just appropriating from a culture that hadn't yet hit the mainstream? This is the story of a track that redefined music and challenged ideas about genre, race, and ownership. Stick around, this is going to get interesting. The year is 1981, and the music world is at a crossroads. Punk rock is alive and well, hip-hop is just beginning to move outside of the Bronx, MTV just launched, which is going to change the way we consume music forever. Amidst all of this cultural explosion, Blondie releases the first song with a rap to top the Billboard charts. How does a band known for their edgy downtown sound become music pioneers again? And why does this fusion spark such controversy today? I started down this rabbit hole when I was reading a subreddit. Some kid was asking why his dad thought that rap was started by Blondie.
Blondie is a stone cold fox!
Now, if that's true, that's a very wrong conclusion for the dad to come to. But that led me down another rabbit hole and another. And it seemed a lot of folks, mostly younger, but some older, thought that this song was cultural appropriation. They were accusing Blondie of being culture vultures. But what all of these threads lacked was significant context. So I'm here to tell you about Blondie's seminal work, Rapture. But to understand how Blondie got to this point in 1981, we need to go back to the beginning, to punk rock, the streets of New York, and a band looking to break musical boundaries. Blondie's roots were firmly planted in the New York punk scene. Emerging in the mid-1970s, founders Debbie Harry and Chris Stein brought a unique blend of punk, new wave, and 60s girl pop nostalgia to the gritty stages of CBGBs. They were icons of a movement that rejected the mainstream, until Blondie became one of the first punk bands to cross over into mainstream success. By 1981, Blondie was known for hits like One Way or Another, Call Me, and this genre crossover hit. But how does a punk band from downtown New York end up in the Bronx? The answer lies in their friendship with one of hip-hop's pioneers.
I got a special sneak look at what MC Hammer's show is going to look like when he goes out on tour.
Understanding how Blondie's 1981 hit song came to be means that we need to dive deep into the cultural force that inspired it. Born in the South Bronx in the early 1970s, hip-hop wasn't just a new genre of music. It was a response to the economic decline, urban decay, and marginalization felt by Black and Latino communities in New York City. It was born out of creativity in the face of adversity. At the heart of hip-hop was DJ Kool Herc. He was a Jamaican immigrant who is largely accredited to creating the genre in 1973. Herc's big innovation was using two turntables to loop breakbeats, the small little isolated drum sections in a disco song. And then people would rap over these breakbeats, usually with party anthems or something that was socially relevant. But hip-hop wasn't just music, it was a culture that included graffiti art and DJing and breakdancing, all wrapped up in the pulse of the city's gritty rhythm. As hip-hop evolved, figures like Grandmaster Flash and Africa Bambaataa pushed the sound further with innovative techniques like beat juggling and scratching.
Count with me. Two. Wait.
One, two.
1, 2, 3.
Oh.
1,
2, 3. Watch the rotations.
It was raw, energetic, and spoke directly to the people of the Bronx, a neighborhood that was hit hard by poverty and urban neglect. In the late 1970s, hip-hop was still mostly confined to the Bronx, but its influence was beginning to reach the streets of downtown Manhattan, where punk and new wave bands were thriving. It's here where Blondie's co-founders, Debbie Harry and Chris Stein, first met Fab Five Freddy. Now, Fab Five Freddy was a graffiti artist and visual artist and filmmaker and truly one of the first ambassadors of hip-hop. He literally took Chris and Debbie down to the Bronx and introduced them around. So Fab Five Freddy was the bridge between these two worlds. He used to go into downtown New York to punk clubs and to art galleries and to Bronx block parties. He was instrumental in connecting Blondie to hip-hop trailblazers like Grandmaster Flash. Inspired by what they saw, Blondie started working on their new song that was inspired by the backbeats and the rap flows that they had heard in the Bronx. In 1981, they released Rapture, a song that brought the sounds of hip-hop to the audience of an already successful band. But how did a band that mixed the sounds of punk and hip-hop bring that sound to mainstream America? The answer lies in a cultural revolution in its infancy. On August 1st, 1981, MTV was launched.
7, 6, 5, 4. We've gone for main engine start. We have main engine start.
And music television as we know it today was born.
I heard you on the wireless back in 52.
For the first time, artists had a platform that wasn't just about sound, it was about the visual experience. MTV quickly became a cultural phenomenon, changing how music was consumed and creating overnight stars of artists like Pat Benatar, Duran Duran, and Billy Idol. Blondie's Rapture was video number 49 on day 1 of MTV, and it was one of the first videos to hit heavy rotation. This made it the first rap song to hit MTV and the first one to gain a broad national audience. Run DMC's Rock Box, arguably the first rap artist to be on their network, wouldn't air until 1984. I couldn't find any other rap artists in my search that had been on before Run DMC and Rock Box, but if there is, please tell me in the comments and put a link down there if you could. Rapture was a perfect fit for MTV's visual medium. The video was strange, surreal, and filled with New York City cool. Mixing downtown art scenes with uptown hip-hop, it not only featured renowned artist Jean-Luc Basquiat, but it also featured a cameo from Fab Five Freddy himself, who had become Blondie's guide to hip-hop culture. For a lot of viewers, including myself, it was our first exposure to rap.
Cause the man from Mars stopped eating cars and eating bars, and now he only eats guitars. Yeah!
But as Blondie takes their place in the annals of innovative artists, the question remains, cultural innovation or appropriation? The lines can get blurry. Hey folks, before I go on, I just want to encourage you to like, subscribe, and hit all the buttons to get notified the next time I make a video. And do you think this song is controversial? Let me know in the comments and mention your favorite Blondie song. Now, back to the video. So we hear the phrase cultural appropriation a lot, and I want to make sure that we are on the same page about this. So I'm going to read this definition to you here. It refers to the act of adopting elements of one culture by members of another culture, particularly when a dominant group takes from marginalized or minority groups without permission or without understanding of the original context. It often involves exploiting cultural symbols, practices, or art forms such as fashion, music, language, or rituals in a way that removes the original significance or ignores the experiences of the culture being appropriated. This can lead to harm by reinforcing stereotypes or commodifying important cultural elements, especially when the group has historically been marginalized. In looking back, people say it's cultural appropriation because Blondie was predominantly a white band, taking from a black art form that was still struggling to get mainstream acceptance. You might argue the cultural appropriation aspect by looking at a popular rap song of the time, and I'm talking about Curtis Blow's The Brakes.
And you borrowed money from the mob. That's
And yesterday you lost your job.
In the breaks, Curtis is talking about the cultural experience in the Bronx. But when Blondie uses rap, she is talking about cars and bars and men from Mars. In Blondie's defense, it would have seemed very disingenuous for her to be rapping about life in the Bronx when she's not from there. However, she does mention Fab Five Freddy in the rap, she mentions Grandmaster Flash in the rap, and in the first few lines, she talks about this Bronx scene from her perspective. So now we get to the permission part of cultural appropriation. Fab Five Freddy and Basquiat are in the video. And Fab Five Freddy and graffiti artist Lee Quinones, I believe I'm pronouncing that correctly, created the graffiti art in the video. And Grandmaster Flash knew that Blondie was releasing this song, and he thought it was going to be great for raising the profile of hip-hop.
But I thank Blondie for bringing me into white people and German people and that other world. I needed to get in that world because I didn't want this thing to just be just black or just Latin.
Debbie Harry has always said that their intention with Rapture was to bring attention to hip-hop out of respect for those people and respect for the genre. So how are they going to use their power as popular artists to bring hip-hop into the mainstream without someone accusing them of stealing? No matter where you fall on this debate, Rapture helped open doors to future crossovers and pave the way for hip-hop's mainstream success. But how did this fusion influence music in the years to come?
No sleep till Brooklyn!
Rapture was the appetizer that created such a hunger in suburban kids for more rap. And by 1984, it was no longer confined to the Bronx. It was now a global phenomenon with regular rotation on MTV. And in 1988, it got its own show, Yo MTV Raps, hosted by none other than hip-hop's ambassador, Fab Five Freddy.
Yo, 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 yo.
What's up, y'all? Welcome to Yo MTV Raps.
Rock and roll and hip-hop would cross paths again and again over the next few years. There was Walk This Way with Run DMC and Aerosmith, World Destruction with Afrika Bambaataa and Johnny Rotten, and this one by Anthrax and Public Enemy. But how does Blondie's legacy hold up today? And what do modern artists think of this pioneering experiment? Artists like Questlove of The Roots and Chuck D of Public Enemy have spoken about the song's pioneering role in introducing hip-hop to wider audiences. Chuck D said on thebeliever.net, "Flash is fast, Flash is cool. I was blown away when she said that because Flash was fast and Flash was cool. We knew that. It was fascinating coming from this white woman, coming from a record, and then coming from Blondie, no less, who was already getting some heat in New York and around the country. So we thought that was good. That was props." Questlove in particular has praised Blondie in taking a risk of blending genres.
They were one of the very first to co-sign the movement and really brought it to a wider audience. That was an extreme radical thing to do. Like, you know, of all the songs in your catalog, that was super, super risky.
Artists readily took Blondie's baton, from Beastie Boys to Kid Rock to Lil Nas X, Doja Cat, and Post Malone. These artists readily mix pop, hip-hop, rock, country, proving that genre fluidity is now a feature of modern music and no longer just an experiment. While Blondie's Rapture is not a pure rap song, its influence can't be denied. It helped pave the way for hip-hop to enter mainstream culture and shows that music is at its best when it's pushing boundaries. And as today's genre-fluid artists prove, Blondie's legacy is alive and well.